friends, we are on the 5th day of Shantiniketan Literature Festival's online meet today on the 8th of September, Saturday. So we welcome all of you. So to begin the program, we will call first Nandini, who is a trained singer and she has excellent voice. So Nandini, can you please start with a song and then we'll begin the session. And at the very end, again, we'll call Nandini to, we'll end with a song again, keeping with the Shantiniketan tradition. So Nandini, over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay.
you are audible.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. So I'll begin my song with the words of Gurudev. It is very
Just a minute.
simple.
Just a minute. You may, as we were doing there, at a small synopsis in English would be good. Very quick, a sentence or two. Thanks.
I'll be speaking in of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
song you mean.
Of the song. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sure. So it is very simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple. So one of my favorite quotes written by the Nobel laureate, Rabindranath Tagore, it always resonates with my day-to-day life. There is no better way to describe his body of work. You just have to experience it. So after I finish singing, I think while I'm singing, you will understand what he's trying to say through this song, actually. So once I finish, I will definitely give you a short synopsis of the song. So there's no music, but I'll try my best. আজি আনন্দ ধামে পুরবাসী জনে এনেছি ডেকে তোমারও অমৃত নামে কি গাবো আমি কি শোনাবো আজি আনন্দ ধামে কেমনে বনিব তোমার রচনা কেমনে রটিব তোমার করুণা কেমনে বনিব তোমার রচনা কেমনে রটিব তোমার করুণা কেমনে গলাব হৃদয় প্রাণ তোমার মধুর প্রেমে কি গাবো আমি কি শোনাবো আজি আনন্দ ধামে তব নাম লয়ে চন্দ্র তারা অসীম শূন্যে ধাইছে রবি হতে গ্রহে ঝরেছে প্রেম গ্রহ হতে গ্রহে ছাইছে অসীম আকাশ শত দল তোমার কিরণে সদা ঢালো ঢালো অসীম আকাশ নীল শত দল তোমার কিরণে সদা ঢালো ঢালো তোমার অমৃত সাগর মাঝারে ভাসেছে অবিরামে কি গাবো আমি কি শোনাবো আজি আনন্দ ধামে কি গাবো আমি কি শোনাবো আজি আনন্দ ধামে. So here our poet he's actually trying to tell us that we are all in this universe, and he doesn't know how to praise this universe, because we have all gathered here, and there's so much to, like, there's so many wonders that we see. There's the planets, the beautiful, the vast expanse of the sky, everything. It gives us so much of pleasure. He doesn't understand how to, express his uh, I mean, jollity, or his how he can praise the universe, praise the massiveness of our of this world. So that's what he's trying to tell us, that we have all gathered here, and this everything we have received from the Almighty, and it's time that we pay our homage, we pay our gratitude towards Him. And we should not forget that what we have received, we need to look after it and pay immense. We should be grateful towards it, and our gratitude should always be there.
Thank you, Nandini, for the beautiful song. And we have a comment from Menka Sivsani. Welcome, Menka. She says, always a pleasure to hear Nandini. Menka was with us at the
Yes, yes.
physical festival also at Shantiniketan,
Thank you
and
so
she's here
much,
as well.
Menka ma'am. It's
And
really good.
obviously, to make it yet simpler, you have already described what you have sung. It's, it's almost always the problem for all poets and writers, possibly the writer's block. কি গাবো কি শোনাবো, what should I sing, हम क्या गाना गाएं क्या सुनाएं, that question, a kind of a problem which all poets, all writers across all times face. This is also what this song talks about. Now,
Exactly.
now we move on to our session, today's evening's session. Our chief guest this evening is Rupali Sarkar Gaur. So I'll just quickly introduce her, and then she'll present her paper. Dr. Rupali Sarkar Gaur, poet, author, and social justice activist, served as Associate Professor of English at Delhi University. A PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University. Her book, The Twice Colonized Women in African Literature, is a seminal text. Rupali has presented research papers at international conferences and is published in peer-reviewed journals. Her poetry is archived in the Stanford University Pandemic Digital Archives. She has edited 12 significant journals, in fact, international poetry anthologies. A founder president of Yuvati, an NGO, she runs Mera Kitab Ghar, the backyard library. And now, Rupali will present a paper. Her subject of the paper is Shantiniketan and Bolpur, and my childhood memories of Rabindranath Tagore. It's a reminiscence of a year-long sojourn in Bolpur and Shantiniketan, and the indelible memories of people, places, and happenings seeped in Tagore's poems and culinary interests. Over to you, Rupali.
Thank you so much, Arindam Roy and Animita Roy, who have encouraged me for many years to write and to present so many things that, I had forgotten all about. Today, it's a great honor that you have called me as a chief guest, but I think the chief person here today is Rabindranath Tagore, and I dedicate what I'm going to read. I'm reading it out so that I can do it quickly. I may go up, it's I think 15 minutes, but I may go to 16 minutes, so do bear with me. This is Shantiniketan and Bolpur, My Childhood Memories. In his memoir, Jibon Smriti, My Reminiscences, Rabindranath Tagore says, I know not who paints the pictures on memory's canvas, but whoever he may be, what he's painting are pictures. By which I mean that he is not there with his brush simply to make a faithful copy of all that is happening. He takes in and leaves out according to his taste. He makes many a big thing small and small thing big. He has no compunction in putting into the background that which was to the fore or bringing to the front that which was behind. In short, he's painting pictures and not writing history. I too speak from sheer nostalgia of memories that are more than 6 decades old, and the dates, figures, and people happily merge in a dream landscape of sepia stained photographs. I begin with Bolpur when I was perhaps only 6 years old. Located in the Birbhum district in West Bengal, it was once a sleepy village with a post office, a few shops, and vast open spaces where at night ghosts hopped about swinging lanterns. Our child fears were somewhat quelled only when mother told us that they were called willow of the wisp. These flashes in marshy grounds, yet one couldn't be absolutely sure about these things. Ghosts were for real in our child minds. Bolpur's fame rested on its proximity to Shantiniketan, a hamlet town founded by Rabindranath Tagore, family with the famous Vishwabharati University. We rented a house on the fringes of the Shantiniketan University, and we were to stay there. Meshamoshai, that is uncle, taught Chinese in Shantiniketan, where shady green trees were the only classrooms. Even the palm juice candy maker Laltu Da knew about world famous Ravi Thakur, who hated school when he was a kid. That is why he built Shantiniketan, where there are no rooms where classes are held. Everybody just seemed to sit about on the green grass or under large shady trees. My sister and I loathed school, and here we felt a deep affinity with Robi Thakur. He too disliked the closed confines of a regular school. Each morning, we woke up to a happy chorus of voices singing his favorite song in Bangla, Hridoy Amar Nache Re Ajike, Moyurer Mothon Nache. My heart dances like a peacock today. There were other songs too, accompanied by sounds of anklet, dancing feet, and recitations of poetry, all composed by Rabindranath Tagore. This is a temple of learning, mother often said. For us, it was a wonderful, fun place. We had left behind the colonial and Mughal environments of Delhi to live in this small village. Date palm trees stood silently, and jackals howled through the night. Mosquito nets tied around nails on walls crisscrossed across the room where we slept. Three lanterns with glass chimneys were lit after sunset, inviting all sorts of creatures who rushed into the night light inside. Shantiniketan, mother would say, is a place of peace. We knew there was something important and something very different happening here. There were no classrooms with yellow walls whose plasters come off in little flaky pieces. The girl students here were called didis and the boys were dadas. They sat under leaf blown trees, letting the rustling winds whisper to them, watching the birds and letting their minds fly far away. All day we walked around this open school whose classrooms were sometimes full of colorful mask wearing dancers who moved slowly to drum beats. Groups of young men and women in red and white danced and sang with joy, welcoming the spring. The month of Boishak was when the great bard was born. Esho He, Esho Boishak would reverberate, and the celebrations were unique. Everybody had to plant trees. He Nuton, Dekhadi, Arbar, Jonmore Prathame Shubhakhon, Pochishe Boishak, a song he wrote to mark his own birthday and to celebrate life, that exact moment of birth, that moment you see the light, Shujjeromothon, like the sun. We didn't understand much of it then, but which heart, big or small, can ever deny its profundity? Its music sung in many voices. I grew up to love M.S. Subalakshmi sing Pochishe Boisha. Like Tagore, we too were being homeschooled. Under a banyan tree, girls in saris and boys in kurtas and dhotis stood with brushes and colors made out of stalks and flowers and leaves, drawing beautiful pictures of trees and birds. Under every tree, we met happy learning happening. There was no unlucky classroom window from which, like Tagore, a boy or a girl looked longingly at the trees and birds outside. Rabindranath Tagore chronicles his school days as one of great longing to be out in the midst of nature's bounty. We lived the school life he had imagined for himself and all children, an education with an open mind and in sync with nature, a creative mind which saw into the life of things. We saw potters at wheels, weavers weaving magic baskets, and at every corner somebody learning something. We kids spent the day pulling out bulrushes and making bows and arrows. We roamed the meadows carrying our bows and arrows in search of the syrupy sweet nut of the date palm tree called talshash, which we found lying quietly on the ground. The date palm syrup man Chontu carried a long bamboo across his naked shoulder. He hung two clay pots full of dark brown khejur gur, which is date palm syrup. He walked fast in a dancing sort of way, balancing the pots filled with the syrup, which he tapped out of the tree. Seeing him coming out of the faraway setting sun, we thought he was Mahatma Gandhi. Mother told us Mahatma Gandhi and Tagore were great friends. They both resisted and acted against the British who were ruling us. Tagore returned his knightship as a protest against the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. There was also this gallery of photographs. Many had Tagore and Gandhi sitting together. One even had Einstein with Tagore and Gandhi. On rainy afternoons, the rain screened the green mud, which stretched out in an endless way. The evening twilight time was time for cows to go home. It was called Godhuli because of the dust they stirred up. We loved Bolpur and Shanti Niketan and Robi Thakur and his many stories. When Kaltuda, the postman, delivered a parcel of books, out fell Aesop's fables, Moby Dick, Robinson Crusoe, Peter Pan, and Lamb's Tales from Shakespeare, all sent by Dad. Why didn't Robi Thakur write stories for children? We asked. Of course he did. Mesha Moshai corrected us. You must read the Kabuliwala, the astronomer, Clouds and Waves, and so many poems and short stories. He said. Then one day he brought them for us from Calcutta. Mother would read them out to us in Bangla. The best was Damodar Sheth, the gormandizing pot-bellied fish eater. At Tagore's home, Jorashanko Thakurbari, his favorite fish koi was cooked in mustard oil and ear-buzzing mustard paste. His poem, Damodar Sheth, is all about different types of fish dishes. It's a fish eater's delightful poem. In Bolpur, they sold koi mach in earthen pots filled with water. The koi mach is a mouth-watering fish fit for kings. It's as big as a palm and it hops about in boiling oil and mustard curry. Its legendary death-defying acrobatics right in the heart of a sizzling machar jhol makes it a much sought-after fish. For whoever eats the rare koi mach acquires some of its fishy immortality. Mysterious koi stories were heard. Today, Bolpur sports many cinema halls like Chaitali, Chitra, Filora, Urvashi, Milon, Mela. Some are still quite like the very damp wall peeling picture hall we called Dreamland. The mostly broken seats with their rexine were full of bugs. Cinema about gods and goddesses sold all sorts of foolish ideas about women's role in society. Good women are good wives and good mothers. The women actors cried a great deal, and the women in the hall also cried and went again the next day to cry some more. We kids had never seen mother cry. We never saw Moina Mashi, Mishti Maima, or Auntie Jahangir, whose husband died in the war, or Pati Amma, who was a child widow, weep all day long, or curse their destiny. They were not cursing that they were born women. When I grew up and read Tagore's novels and short stories, I found he had written about women like them, strong, resilient, bold, and capable, unafraid to express desire or take action, like Binodini, Charulata, Mrinal, Mrinmoyi, and Suman. In Shantiniketan, October drums signaled the arrival of the goddess Durga with 10 hands. Vikashta, the sculptor, lived inside Shantiniketan. He watched him silently tie bundles of straw into shapes of hands and legs. Before our wonder-struck eyes, the straw body grew into flesh. Brown mud, white mud, and colors made out of leaves and flowers, satin and gold. The mud comes from the house of a prostitute, somebody whispered. Decades later, following the murder and rape of a young doctor in Kolkata, they have refused to give the mud from their homes in protest. Memories flood in as I recollect how we had sat mouth open all night till the curtains moved to show us a historical play about Nawab Sirajuddola. The Englishman Lord Clive was the local pan seller, with his English mouth stained red with betel nut leaf. We had listened with amazement as Lord Clive spoke in Bangla with English accent. Sirajuddola's wig with its loose curls flew from left to right. On the 10th day, which is Vijay Dashami, a truck carried the goddess away. Boys from the university clambered onto the trunk singing, Joy Durga, Joy Durga. Bolpur and Shanti Niketan have stayed crystal clear in my mind's eye. Something deeply spiritual and universal resides there. The soul of Tagore, his poetry, and his songs, his nationalistic spirit continue to be the legacy for our times. In my early teens, I was privileged to meet Tagore's son, Shri Rathindranath Tagore, in his beautiful home in Dehradun. My parents were frequent visitors to his home, and I attended many Kavi Goshtis. He held them every evening. He would always place his hand on my head and bless me. Thus, my soul has touched the great bard Rabindranath Tagore. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Krupali. A wonderful uh, paper that you presented, and you braided your experiences, your memories, your childhood memories with so many things of Tagore, his short stories, his songs, the fish that he liked to eat. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. So now
Thank
we
you so
move on
much.
to our next person for the evening, Gayatri Lakhaini Chawla. She's a guest of honor. So I'll just introduce her. Gayatri Lakhaini Chawla, I hope I'm pronouncing her name rightly, is an award-winning poet, translator, healer, and French teacher from Mumbai. She is the author of 3 poetry collections, Borders and Broken Hearts, shortlisted for the PVLF Author Excellence Awards 2023, Invisible Eye, and The Empress. Accolades for her poetry include a special mention award in the Architectural Poetry Annual Competition 2020, the Panorama Special Jury Award 2020, being shortlisted by Asia Pacific Writers and Translators. She is the author of Healing Elixir, the Hawakal Handbook of Angel Therapy, Numerology and Remedies. She is the recipient of the Rahi Kadam Inspiration Award 2021. In round 1, the topic of a paper presentation is Rabindranath Tagore, a sneak peek into the poetic styles and early influences. Over to you, Gayatri.
Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be here for the Shanti Niketan Literature Festival online, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you so much, Arindamji. Wonderful to be here. I'm going to be reading fragments of my paper, not in whole, just bits of it. This is basically a sneak peek into early influences of Rabindranath Tagore's life and a little bit about the poetic styles that he used. So the Bard of Bengal was born on 7th May 1861. As a child, he grew up in a very artistic environment. So the environment, so basically the environment, the influences that he had in his life, early life, was one, the environment that he grew up in, the house, and then he was very close to his father, and thirdly, also nature. He completely resonated with that. So as a child, he grew up in the artistic environment of his home and started writing poetry at a very early age of 8. With the loss of his mother at an early childhood, he grew up among siblings. He was one of 13 siblings, and a whiff of the environment of his home. There were tutors and teachers who would come up and teach intensive courses. They would teach Sanskrit, geometry, geography, and also there were Drupad musicians who came to tutor the Tagore children, and they were all tutored in Indian classical music. His father, Debendranath, who's also called Maharishi, which is a great sage, was a writer, scholar, mystic, and a leader of the Brahmo Samaj movement, which was founded by the very well-known Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So as a child, Tagore was very close to his father. Early influences on his writing include the home environment, imbibing the Bengali culture and tradition. He basks in the classical music that lilted in the ambience of his home. There were tutors that visited the Tagore household where he was taught, and he studied geography, gymnastics, history, English literature, which he loved, and Sanskrit. But what he didn't like was sitting in those four walls. He found that very monotonous, mundane. He didn't want to be tied down to those four walls. He wanted to break free from the monotonous nature of time, which pinned him from morning to night. As a child, he was admitted in 4 different schools, and this part of his life he completely abhorred, he completely hated. His father played a very important role, a very significant role in carving his personality. Since he was a man of high status, his nature of work was that he traveled often, and his absence moved Tagore greatly. In letters to a friend, he mentions how he missed his father. At the age of 12, he traveled with his father for a 4-month-long journey. Little did he know that this would be the journey deep inward, and it would change the way he looked at the world. They visited Bolpur, a rural obscure place, which is now Shantiniketan. Here is where he was first introduced to the rural Bengal. He also visited Amritsar, where he was introduced to Sikhism as he visited the Gurdwara. During the journey, his father read and recited books in Sanskrit, Bengali, and English literature. They read the Upanishads, all of which reflected in his body of work. The last destination was Dalhousie, and here young Tagore was completely mesmerized by the captivating peaks and mountains. Young Tagore became aware of his joy in the presence of clouds, open skies, and Mother Nature. It was a truth he carried in his heart for a long time to come. Nature came to him as a healer. 12-year-old Tagore found solace in nature, where he could think and create, write, and blossom. He thrived in the authentic nature of the universe. The vulnerability of its picturesque cadence and divinity opened a world of creative writing that he already knew, but perhaps he had not acknowledged enough to write. The journey left a lasting impression on young Tagore's mind. Nature played a significant role in Tagore's writing. So I like to quote here one of the most soulful quotes that has touched my heart. In the world's audience hall, the simple blade of grass sits on the same carpet with the sunbeams and the stars of midnight. So we see here how, at a very young age, he missed, because of the loss of mother, he looked at his father. He missed his father often. But this 4-month journey really got him closer to nature. And that's what reflected in his writing. He published, of course, much later, 60 volumes of verse, and he's experimented with very many poetic forms and techniques. Tagore's poetry beautifully emerged as sonnets, or lyric dialogue poems, and prose poems. Many of them are lyrics for the songs that he created much later. Tagore's poetic style encompasses nature, divine, rural folk music, and rhythm. His songs are penned with lyricism and magic. And I think Rabindranath Sangeet is the elegant melange of poetry and music. And these are the fragments that I have for my paper. And the rest is history. Yeah.
Thank you, Gayatri. A wonderful presentation. A very important point that you told us, that his closeness with his father and how that shaped his, life. How that 4-month journey was a turning point in his life as well. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. So we now move to round 2. So, here we have poetry reading. So I'll first call those people who have not still, come forward. So in that order, and then I'll come back to Rupali and Gayatri at the end. So Patricia De Cruz. Patricia is a public speaking course. Patricia is a public speaking coach and a passionate writer. Her passion for writing made her accept the path that she loved and enjoyed doing the most. She is a published author and poet. She believes in extracting enjoyment and learning from every moment of her life. According to her, quote, love, passion, zeal mixed together creates magic. So well said, Patricia.
Thank
So
you.
now we'll call her to recite a poem, O Earth. This is inspired by Tagore's nature poem. Over to you, Patricia. And here is a person who is Calcutta based. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'll start reading my poetry on nature. So the title of my poem is O Earth. If the earth didn't have the heart to spare, the sky wouldn't enjoy the vast space, so rare. What if the earth wasn't softened by the gentle drops? Wouldn't the trees have lost their chance to breathe? What if the gentle petals didn't get the generosity of the earth? Would they bloom again to welcome the new season? The answers are not known to all. Humans, from earth they were born, to earth they will return. The earth, the nurturing source, the mother to our warm nature, emitting the aura of love and grace, welcoming like the delicate hug of our beloved mother, and a shield against the odds. O earth, tell me the secret to your vastness that shies away the oceans too. Thank you so much. I'm a nature lover, just a line or two, because since we are talking about Tagore so much, so I'm a nature lover, and that's the reason why I can connect with all of the nature poems that we read that has been given to us by our Nobel laureate. And being based out of Kolkata, one thing is for sure that in each and every household, we grow up reading Tagore and talking about him. And yes, of course, the two books that I will forever remember, that is Chhelebala and Rajoshi. So these are the two books that really inspire me a lot. Chhelebala because it is about his childhood, and there is the naughty side of him that we get to know about, and also about his family, his upbringing and everything. And it really is something that we all grow up. We have all we all grew up reading and knowing Tagore better. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for having me, and it is great meeting you all.
Thank you, Patricia. A lovely poem. And as you
Thank you.
rightly said, for us Bengalis, whether you are in Bengal or outside Bengal, I'm a Probashi Bengali, which means domiciled elsewhere. For us, and even Rupali would agree, as she was talking in a paper about the influences and how her mother would read out and whatever she heard and absorbed. So that Rabindric Sahitya or Tagore literature, as we understand, for a Bengali, mostly, of course, this is diminishing sadly these days, and that's also one of the reasons why we have SLF, is that for us it was more of an osmosis. We absorbed it almost from thin air, because every Bengali home his birthday and his death anniversary, either community-wise, Bengali social cultural organizations, or at home, in a groups, parate, in different localities, these would be organized. So yes, for us, it's very important. And here are some interesting comments we have got in the meanwhile. We have, in response to Rupali's paper, so this is from Seema Sarkar. She's Lucknow based, and she says, very interesting and insightful. Agree with you, Seema. And Menika says, this was really interesting paper. Thanks for sharing your memories, Dr. Rupali Sarkar Gaur. Seema Jain says, such a captivating paper. Urna tells us Rabindra Sangeet is indeed magic. Totally agreed with you. In response to Gayatri's paper, Menaka, also Mumbaikar like Gayatri, she says, enjoyed these glimpses, Gayatri. Looking forward to reading the whole paper later. Obviously, all of us are. And, yes, Menka, we agree with you. And Seema Jain adds, so well presented, Gayatri. Thank you. Thank you, all of you who are commenting. And Seema Sarkar says, so sweet presentation. Thank you again, Seema Sarkar. Tagore's work in English translation is so powerful. How fortunate you are to read it in the original. That's so true, Menka. Yes, some of us who have read it in original or even heard it in original, that's interesting. And of course, Bengali is very easy language, because if you know Hindi, it's not very difficult to understand Bangla. So yes, with a little effort, Bangla can be understood beautifully. So now I'll move on to the next person. We are again in round 2. Now, Seema Jain is a bilingual poet, short story writer, editor, translator, critic, and reviewer, ex-vice principal and head PG Department of English, KVM Jalandhar. She has 15 published books to her credit that include an anthology edited by 21st Century Indian Women Poets in English, published by Sahitya Academy, and poems in 130 anthologies. Wonderful. She's a recipient of many awards. Welcome, Seema. And her poem, it's self-explanatory, is titled Symphony of Love. Over to you, Seema.
Thank you, Arindam sir. Thank you so much. And it is an absolute pleasure and honor to be a part of this wonderful meet today. And unfortunately, I could not join the offline meet, the Shanti Niketan Literature Festival, though I was very keen to join, but the dates clashed with some of the personal commitments. So I'm very happy to be here on the online platform with all of you today. And coming to this meet today, I was listening to the wonderful presentations by Rupali Sirkar Gaur and by Gayatri Lakhiani Chavla. And both of them, they presented their papers beautifully. And I was listening spellbound to both the speakers. I'm not so fortunate not being from Bengal and belonging to North India. I'm not so fortunate to have personally shared some experiences with Tagore and his legacy. But I think Tagore's legacy is a part of the national as well as global consciousness. So all of us are very deeply touched by his music, his paintings, and the stories and poetry and whatnot. So wonderful. We are all connected with Tagore in some way or the other. We have all grown up reading stories by him, Kabuliwala, and then Where the Mind is Without Fear, the poem, and so many other poems that we have read. They have impacted me deeply. Here, I would like to say that one of my personal favorites among his poems is a poem titled False Religion. It is a beautiful poem, and I think it's a very appropriate poem in all times and climes, especially in the contemporary world we are living in today. Now, coming to my poem, the poem that I'm going to share with all of you today is Symphony of Love. It's a poem that alternates between despair and hope and sings of hope and love. So here it is. Symphony of Love. The wounded bird of hope fluttered its wings frantically. The wounded bird of hope fluttered its wings frantically as it bore on its bosom the tremendous burden of sorrowful frustration. With oodles of dreams floating in its starry eyes, like a fetus in amniotic fluid, blissfully unaware of the tempestuous winds raging fiercely in the world outside. As the thick blanket of snow enveloped the bare tree branches and the barren ground. But soon the storm subsided, the snowstorm stopped, as nature slowly changed its course, and the rising sun, with its resplendent rays, dispelled darkness and chill, strewing in abundance radiance and warmth, melting the frosty layers of frozen snow, and bringing to life small blades of grass, the tiny, tender saplings sprouting from the earth's bosom, their delicate, shiny leaves opening their arms to embrace the shining sun. And the chirpy birds atop the green tree tops singing symphonies of love, harmony, and hope, like a soothing lullaby for the craving ears of humanity, like a soothing lullaby for the craving ears of humanity. So this was my poem. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for this lovely poem. And a lot of your imageries and metaphors reminded me of Tagore's poems. So, it was very rich and a wonderful selection of the poem also. Yes, and again, as I was, as you were reciting, I was also looking at Menka's comment about the translation work in English translation, so powerful. It's agree, but I was also called to talk on Tagore at Shantiniketan. That was on the 10th, the first day. Around 7 o'clock was my lecture. And it was a very prestigious kind of a lecture, I was told. That is called Robindra Saptaha. So immediately after his death anniversary, which is 7th or 8th, so this year it was 8th, and so that on the third day I was given the stage, and in Bengali the topic was uh, Bharatiya Sahitye Rabindrik uh, Shap. And what is Tagore's influence on Indian languages? And while presenting that paper, I did mention that Menka, around the same time, while I was presenting a paper here, she at SLF's physical meet was telling us about how Sindhi literature was influenced by Tagore's work as well. And as I was doing my research, I found that Tagore, uh, Subramaniam Bharati, of Tamil Nadu, was deeply influenced by Tagore, Amrita Pritam, Mahadevi Verma ji, and so many. I'm just cutting it short. So, his impact was all over across Bengal, not only Bengal, but beyond borders, in fact, all over India, across languages, across cultures. He was, I think, we had a truly Indian writer who he himself did not believe in borders. And he himself, though he was a nationalist at some point, he also believed in universalism. So there's a duality and there's a paradox also. So yes, you're right. Yes, literally the same time. Yes, you're right, Menka, around 7-ish. And I missed listening to you. But yes, I was fortunate enough to read your paper. And here I see Urna Bose's comment, how true Tagore's work is a tapestry that connects us all across boundaries and borders of every kind. So well said, Urna. So well said. Thank you. So now I'll invite Rupali and I'll go back to Rupali and ask her to represent her paper. Her poem is called Dreaming Dhaka on River Buriganga. Interestingly, I have read this poem earlier, but most of you haven't. So please, over to her. Rupali.
Thank you so much. You published it on Different Truths.
That's true.
I'm
That's
so
true.
grateful.
That's true.
Let me just tell you a little bit. This poem is, my father was born in Dhaka, and when he was 15, they moved to Lahore and Karachi, and they settled down there. But somehow I think he left his heart behind in Dhaka because he would always talk about. And then he joined the army and he traveled all over. And then the 71 war took place. He wanted to claim his home in Dhaka, which couldn't happen. And one day, I really felt his presence. I felt his presence as if he was egging me on to talk about his longing. So this is called Dreaming Dhaka on the river Buriganga. So Dhaka is situated on the river called Buriganga. When you grow up hearing the boatswain singing as he plies his boat down the river, singing his plaintive Polli Geet, a lone voice, a flowing river, and a lone moon, and you hear of it from your father, then your dreams are filled with longing, and your sleep is filled with dreams of a river called Buriganga. When you leave behind a piece of earth, the glowing warmth of a familiar hearth, the cradle swings slowly, slowly, singing a lullaby at your birth. Then your father's dreams are filled with longing, and his sleep is full of dreams of a river called Burigonga. Did I dream, or did I hear, or both carrying to doorsteps the sugar-dripping sweet Rashagullas? Of the Ilish march whose scent sends your senses reeling, and the tree-climbing koi fish in earthen pots? In Venice, dreams of Dhaka floated in lapping waters of the Mediterranean Sea, touching the steps of noblemen's homes. In father's unfulfilled dreams lies the delicate shukto. Mother refused to cook while I run my fingers through snowy rice and take a second helping. What memories made him weep as the bowl singer sang his song? What dreams of longing and a sleep full of dreams kept him awake as he dreamt of Dhaka on the river Buriganga? Thank you.
A beautiful poem. And again, as I was hearing a poem with this imagery and so explicit and so beautifully presented, I recall my growing up, my father and my uncle Tauji in Hindi and Jethima Taiji, they were all from that part of Bengal, across the East Bengal, which became East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. So I grew up with so many stories about the childhood and the long, expansive fields, dhan khet, paddy fields, tea estates, which my father's family owned. And Sylhet teas were very good at times. So the Assam tea was the best tea because, particularly in Sylhet, but certain portion of Sylhet, these trees were grown. But after Sylhet went away, though Sylhet was, by the way, never a part of Bengal. It was, though we were Bengalis, it was in the political map of Assam. So it would be a similar thing that if we were to, let's say, it is a bad comparison, but Balia, which culturally are more Biharis than UPites, but it is in the political map of UP. So there was a referendum and they wanted Sylhet for three particular reasons, we were told, because of oil and natural gas, petroleum, coal, slate mines. हम लोग जो slate में लिखते थे बचपन में, that slate mines, and that's from where Sylhet gets its name. Uh, uh, Oranges, santra. We have Nagpur here in India. There it was Sylhet. And of course, tea and many other things. So yes, you reminded me of Sylhet and my childhood also. Thank you, thank you. And in the meanwhile, some interesting comments have come here. Let's see. Let me go back a little. Okay, this is scroll down. Yeah, I agree with you. Seema Jain writes, Tagore's work is actually universal. In fact, it is. And you see, Tagore is linked with the national anthem of 2.5 countries. We know the 2 countries, India and Bangladesh. Here we have Janagana Mano, and there they have Amar Sonar Bangla. Yeah. Hamare Sone Ki Bangal. That's roughly translated. But a poet friend of his from Sri Lanka had invited him to set to music a almost Sanskritized song, which is Sri Lanka's national anthem. So in today's language, as we understand, we use the word lyricist and music director. So Tagore was the lyricist and music director of the national anthem of 2 countries, and he was the music director of the national anthem of Sri Lanka. So you are right to say that he was very universal. Absolutely right. Then Seema Sarkar says, yes, so lively images, agree with you. We have another foodie. Bengalis are foodie. So Urnas talks about Shuktwa and Koi. My mouth is watering, same here. Oof. Khide pe gelo. Feeling hungry, that's what it said. Lovely poem, Rupali, says Seema Jain. Seema Sarkar, yes, mouth watering. Look, all the Bengalis are ganging up. Fascinating insights, Arindam. Thank you, Menka. Thank you. Now
I
I'll ask.
just wanted to say just a little one word. My father apparently this, in Lahore when he was a student there in the DAV college. So Rabindranath Tagore had come there and he was reciting his poetry, and when he sang, he would sing and recite. So Hridoy Amar Nachere, Moyurer Moto Nache, like a peacock. There was a Sardaji sitting next to my father who said, "मुझे भाषा तो बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आया, मगर मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो गए हैं." So that's the kind of thing. Language goes beyond language. Everything goes beyond language. So we all grew up with Tagore by hearing our parents.
Yeah. So we have another fresh comment from Menka. She's Bengalis are foodies. I was also amazed by the music I heard at SLF. That's true. That's true. That's exactly what just now Rupali told us. Now I'll ask Gayatri to recite her poem. And just a minute. Yeah, her poem is called Affirmations. It's a nature poem, which means phrase or words that are positive. Tagore was influenced by the beauty of nature, and the poem is inspired, and her poem, the one that Gayatri is reciting, is inspired by him. It's a confluence of the beauty and divinity of Mother Nature. Over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you, Arundamji. I like to first just say, Rupaliji, one word for your poem, poignant, and it was such a soulful poem. It's touched my heart, just beautiful. Also, the paper is so soul stirring. I also wanted to share here that my early childhood I spent in Burnpur. I was a student at Loreto Convent School, the same school that Mother Teresa went to, because my father was at Indian Iron and Steel Company. So quite a few years I've spent at Burnpur as well. And like they say, you can leave Bengal, but you can never get Bengal out of your soul. It's always there.
How
And
young were you, Gayatri, when you were there? Do you
I
recall?
left when I was in grade 4, grade 3, and so of course I have those very vivid memories of putting alta on the feet and dancing, Rabindranath Sangeet, the meetha achar that you have in those Bengali weddings, all of that, and of course Ma Durga. That's where I think going to the pandals, that's where the spirituality started. That connect started right there. So I'm going to be reading this poem called Affirmations. So little background about this, because I work as a healer. Affirmations are some words or phrases, positive words that we give to somebody if you want to manifest for something in your life. And I'll just jump right in and read the poem. Affirmations. Pluck the fresh butterfly pea flowers on a rainy day. separating the sepals. Drop them in a chai pan with water. Brew with the cinnamon bark, some ginger thrown in generously, stirring in the past karmic patterns. Listen with precision to the gurgling blue concoction, a crystal ball gathering tepid tears of swan song. Sieve it, serve warm with honey and lime sliced vertically. The spell reads, believe and behold. Look, the indigo blue sky setting your heart ajar. Thank you.
For the beautiful poem, Gayatri, and wonderful to know that you are a healer. Seema Sarkar from Lucknow says that Bangali means খাওয়া দাওয়া আড্ডা এক. Totally agree. Totally agree. খাওয়া দাওয়া मतलब खाना पीना और अड्डा.
बिल्कुल.
That's what she's meaning. Yes, that's what we are known for. And Seema Jain, she says, what a treat. Today's meet is with such enriching papers and soulful poetry flowing with such ease. Gayatri, such a sweet and touching poem. I agree with you. I agree with you, Seema. And now we have come to almost the end. And yes, lovely poem, Gayatri. Menka Shivdasani is saying. So yes, agree with you, Menka. Agree with you. Totally agree with you. I see Madhu Gangopadhyay has also joined over here. We have Seema Jain, Urna, Seema Sarkar, Shamshri Maji. Okay, lovely. We have Shamshri Maji also. She's from Durgapur, a very talented, young, talented poet. You know, welcome, Shamshri. So over to Nandini for the closing song, and then I'll have a quick vote of thanks. Nandini.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
here.
go. You are here. Okay, okay. Over to you.
Okay. So I'll again end the program with the words of Tagore, where he once said, everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it. So let's keep patient, and every seed we sow in our life, good things do take time to get. My the song that I'm going to sing now, I'll give a short translation of the song, where Tagore said, as you strum on my heartstrings, my soul is deeply sore. How that feels, only the fervent heart knows. I hold you within all night and day. With all my heart at your face I gaze. In elation, in heartache, in endearment, I'm awake. In this life that came off, what was destined to sweep away this heart and soul towards ruin. So his lovely words, how can we not make it part of our life and carry on whenever we are sad, whenever we are happy, we need Tagore to give us that solace.
Please adjust your
So,
camera, Nandini.
oh,
Thank
sorry,
you. Thank you. No, it's okay. It's okay.
sorry. Okay, so now I start my song. বড় বেদনার মতো বেজেছ তুমি আমার প্রাণে বেদনার মতো মন যে কেমন করে মন যে কেমন করে সে তো মনে জানি বড় বেদনার মতো বেজেছ তুমি আমার প্রাণে বেদনার মতো তোমার হৃদয়ে করে আছি সেদিন ধরে তোমারে হৃদয় করে আছে নিশিদিন ধরে চেয়ে থাকি আঁখের ভরে চোখের পানে বড় বেদনার মতো বেজেছ তুমি আমার প্রাণের বেদনার মতো বড় সুখে বড় দুঃখে বড় অনুরাগে রয়েছে জাগে এ জনমের মতো আর হয়ে গেছে যা হবার এ জনমের মতো আর হয়ে যা হবার ভেসে গেছে মন প্রাণ মরণ টানে বড় বেদনার মতো বেজেছ তুমি আমার প্রাণের বেদনার
Thank you, Nandini. A beautiful song. And without you, we've not been so musical. And in the Shantiniketan tradition, we are saying sadhu, sadhu. So
Thank you.
we have a few more comments here. Shamashri sort of pays the regards to me, and I thank Shamashri. And thank you so much. Thanks so much to Arindam sir and to today's gorgeous panel of poets and bring the wonder of Tagore on a Sunday evening. Thank you, Urna. You are a splendid person, and without Urna, she does the poet to poet column for us for different routes, and despite a completely busy schedule, she manages time to interview poets, and some of the poets whom she translated, Rupali was interviewed by her. I remember also Menka, and there were several other poets, including Jayanta Mahapatra and others. So yes, so Seema Sarkar says thanks. Okay, yeah, thank you, Seema Sarkar. She says thanks for this wonderful session. Thanks goes to everyone. That's precisely what I'll do right now. I'll propose the formal vote of thanks. So my first thanks goes to Menka Shivdasani. It was her initiative because of which we have the Asia Pacific Writers and Translators, that wonderful group of international poets. Some of you, even Gayatri, you are associated with APWT. So is Urna and quite a few of us here. So, without Menka, that would not have been possible. Thanks, Nandini. Though it was not your session, so on my request, you were readily agreed on a Sunday, despite the fact that you had guests at home. You kindly and graciously agreed to, begin and end the program with two lovely songs. Thanks to Rupali Sarkar Gaur. She and me, we have worked on several projects together, and she's the chief guest also of the evening. So thank you for this wonderful paper and your poem, Dhaka and Buriganga, whatever you told us. Gayatri, thanks again. Gayatri is our guest of honor. Madhu has joined. So Madhu also, despite a busy schedule, she manages to find time for us. Thanks, Patricia de Cruz, a Calcutta girl here. We got to meet each other for the first time. Seema Jain, thank you again for that beautiful poem of yours. Seema Sarkar, you were also supposed to join us, but today you wanted to join us more as an audience. I could understand. So it's okay. we will call you some other time. And you see, yesterday and today being Ganesh Puja, so a lot of people have not turned up. So we knew that, the attendance would be low, but still we have to carry on because we also have pressures. Uh, Somewhere in between for a little time, I was unwell to some sessions that we dropped in. But yes, I totally understand. In India, we have so much rituals and faith and puja and whatever, which is perfectly all right. And people have their priorities and they have their programs. So that's perfectly all right. Yes, yes. Thanks, thanks. So this is okay. Some more comments have come. So okay, an absolute pleasure for APWT. Thank you, thank you. Menka Shivdasani is also the co-chair, and the chairperson is Sally Breen. She's in Australia. Okay, we will do that. Menka suggests that we should share the recording later so that more people can watch. We'll do that. Certainly do that. Point well taken. And with that, I come to the end of the program. So thank you everyone once again for being here. Shamashri Maji, did I forget mentioning your name? Thanks also. So many of you are here despite so many compelling things. And of course, Urna, thanks for being with us always. So, yeah, I understand. Yes, yes. Okay, so I'm now sort of shutting the program. And thank you, everyone. We'll again meet.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arindam Roy,
Thank you.
for all
Thank
that
you
you
so
do.
much.
For all that you do.
Thank you, Arindam sir,
Arindam
for,
ji,
Thank you.
thank you so
for this
much.
wonderful evening.
Same
It was
here.
great
I
to
enjoyed. I
see
enjoyed
everybody.
being
Thank
here.
you.
Okay, so now I'm closing the recording and ending the session. Good night. Have a wonderful weekend or whatever is left of it.